What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Erica, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I am here to talk about the latest news in the Real Housewives universe. We do know now that Ke-mora will not be returning for season 17 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She actually did, I don't know if she did a YouTube video or an Instagram, a live Instagram yesterday, IG video, but she did say that she is not returning. I will say that I commented on a couple of other YouTubers' pages. I replied to them and saying that I'm not shocked. I feel like they wanted to get rid of Ke-mora for some time, and this was just the actual way to get it done. I feel like they probably lowballed Kenya. She said that she was in talks with them about returning. She's saying that the door is not completely closed, but I do believe that the door is closed. I never felt like Kenya was going to come back. I feel like Ke-mora will be like Nene. I think that the viewers want Ke-mora to come back, but I don't think that we will ever see Ke-mora return to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And if she does, I don't believe that it will be in the capacity in which we want to see her. And what I mean by that is like a full-time housewife. I don't know if they'll bring her back as a friend of. I don't know if she will make appearances, but I don't think that she will be back to function as a full-time housewife. Ke-mora is really what Atlanta needs. Over the years, Ke-mora has been on the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise since season 5. Over the years, I have not agreed with everything that Kenya has said and done, but I just believe that Kenya brings a class and a sophistication to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Ke-mora was Miss USA 1993, if I'm not mistaken. She is also very articulate, and again, she has a level of class that some of these other women do not have. Nene Leakes, of course, was the breakout star of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She is probably one of the most well-known housewives in the entire Housewives universe, but Nene Leakes also did not have the level of class that Ke-mora has. Ke-mora across the street, you know, like I said, she represents them very well. If you use Ke-mora as the representative for the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise, if she's doing the promos, if she's the one doing the interviews, then you sort of feel like, okay, wow, these ladies have some substance. These ladies have some education. These ladies perhaps have some money and connections to the upper echelon. We know that the Real Housewives of Atlanta is not the richest, or these ladies are not the wealthiest women out of all of the Real Housewives franchises, but if Kenya is representing them, it appears that they have something. Portia is now at the helm, and she's sort of leading the girls, and it's like, you know, welcome to Twerkville. It's almost like I don't want to put my mouth on Portia, but it's almost very trashy now. Although Portia comes from a really good family, she is Hosea Williams' granddaughter. That is not what we've seen of Portia. Portia brings, thank you, Nene Leakes, she sort of declasses the show. Like I said, Ronnie the Voice has been saying for some time now, shout out to Ronnie the Voice, one of our favorite YouTubers. He's been saying that this is, you know, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. You know, they're giving baddies of ATL, and, you know, they're on, you know, like Zeus. And he's been saying that for a while, and he called it, and he was 1000% correct. We have entered the Nuck If You Buck era of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is the Nuck If You Buck era. These girls want to twerk. They dress trashy, and Portia is one of my, I think as far as fashion is concerned, Portia has been one of the women on the show that's been very consistent in her fashion, but again, she does not give classy rich woman. I know that she was able to keep her marital home. It's a very beautiful home, but again, it still gives a very ghetto, trashy feel. There are some women that don't on these franchises that don't really have a lot of money at all. We can look at the actual the cast from the Real Housewives of New York that was actually recasted. A lot of them, they didn't seem to have a lot of money, but they had somewhat of a sophistication. They gave us, New York, new age New York. And so that's what I'm saying. These girls, listen, there's nothing wrong with being, true to who you are as a Black woman. There's nothing wrong with you being true to your culture. But I think that they need to give us something else. I would like to see the girls that actually have money, the more sophisticated ladies. I'm not, it's not even a thing about age to me. I just want to see more professional, articulate women. I don't want to just see them, using, quote unquote, the sort of gay lingo or using certain words and certain terms, and they don't know how to articulate themselves. They barely have a conversation. Everything that they talk about is as if they are probably 21 to 25 years old. These do not remind me of 40 plus year old women, or even women in their late 30s who have been wives and they are mothers and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you have to be boring. I think that you should be the best you that you can be. I think that a lot of these girls have personality, but again, they just don't have the sophistication that they need to keep this franchise going. It's almost as if they want to sabotage the Real Housewives of Atlanta and they want to make it something else. This is definitely not the old Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I know most people, especially the ones who did not watch it from the beginning, they probably feel like the viewers who watch from the very beginning, they're probably like, get over it, we're moving on, this is how Atlanta should be. They love the new girls, they love the fights, they love everything that's going on. But if you've been watching from the beginning, we could appreciate, Nene and, where she was, and appreciate how she grew and how she rose to success. We remember how Kim was dating a married man and she was very open about it. It wasn't a secret. We appreciated that. We may not have agreed with the story, but it was interesting to watch. We remember how Deshaun was like super rich. Like Deshaun was the one with the money in the first season. She really, Eric Snow was a very well-known NBA player, and he played for a number of years, and they had money. We saw how Sheree was going through a divorce with an ex-football player, yet she was still struggling financially. Those are stories that we could appreciate, and to see them evolve over the years. We saw how Kandi was introduced in season 2, and how Kandi already had a name for herself, being in the group Escape and having, written songs for Destiny's Child and Pink and NSYNC and Christina Aguilera, and so many people that we actually, that we grew up listening to in the late 90s and 2000s, where she even has Grammys for a couple of them. But it was good to see how Kandi evolved and just sort of allowed her career to grow and develop by being on this reality television show. We appreciated that. And, even up to like season 6, these girls were doing their thing, and they became who they were because they gave us real content. And I think that's because of who the leader of the group was. And at that time, it was Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes brought, she wasn't, like I said, Nene wasn't the most well-spoken person. She wasn't the classiest woman, but Nene understood what they needed to do. And Nene was all about being real. And she was able to make sure that they remained authentic and that they remained organic. And it worked. As soon as Nene Leakes started being removed, or you could tell that she was no longer happy with her position on the show, you could tell that it started going down. Of course, to me, the Real Housewives of Atlanta was great up until season 12. Once season 12 was over, I think it was like, okay, we know, of course, we know what happened with the transition of COVID and how the world shut down. But when they came back, it just didn't seem like it was the Real Housewives of Atlanta anymore. Nene Leakes said she was actually supposed to come back in season 13, and they offered her, like, they lowballed her, and then they offered her a deal where, say, for example, they were going to do 21 episodes. She was only going to do like 13 of those episodes. And so I think that's what they also offered Kenya. This particular time, I could be wrong, but I think that's probably what happened. They didn't offer Kenya what she really deserved. And I hate that for this franchise, because it is my favorite franchise. Like I said, I've watched from day one, episode one, and I know the potential. I know exactly where the Real Housewives of Atlanta was at the height, which was season 6, and I know where they are now, and they are nowhere near where they used to be. A lot of people can say, yeah, well, it's the viewership or whatever the case may be, but it's also the lack of storylines. These women are not being real. These women just want to work. These women just want to show off their bodies and talk about, cosmetic procedures and maybe the latest Hermes bag or whatever the case may be. But these ladies are not giving us their stories. And so, here we are. What do? Kenya said that 2 new cast members are being added. She said she wasn't sure if Shamia Morton was coming back. I really don't want Shamia to come back. I think it would be great if Shamia could exit stage left, because I just don't really feel like Shamia needed to be. I don't think she really needed to be a housewife. I feel like she was probably better off as a friend. It has nothing to do with her financial status or anything else that Shamia gave us. She had a real story, but I just feel like Shamia did not really fit in. She was never one of my favorites. And I said that if you go back and look at my reviews from episode 1 of season 16, Shamia was just not my favorite. So I don't want to see her. It appears, the rumors, they're saying that Ke-mora is coming, and Pinky Cole from Slutty Vegan. I'm not an ATLian, so I don't know a lot about Pinky Cole per se. I have heard of Slutty Vegan, but I'm not familiar with the product, with the restaurant, or with the food at all. I do know Ke-mora from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I'm very familiar with her. I think that Ke-mora will actually do okay. I really genuinely believe that. I think Ke-mora will fit in perfectly. I think that she is going to she will fit in. I think Ke-mora has the personality for it. She sort of has the same look. I think that she will know how to give and take. I think that she will give us the personal story, but I also know that she won't be afraid to sort of jump in. She's definitely not going to be a rookie where these girls are going to haze her or mistreat her. Ke-mora is not going to allow them to do that. So if Ke-mora is the one to come in, I think she would do well. The lady Pinky Cole may even do well. I sort of looked up, I sort of, wanted to become a little familiar with her in case she is the one that's coming. She could potentially do well on the show. She does have a family, and there is some personal story there with her as well. I kind of thought that Mia would be joining the cast, but it doesn't seem like Mia Thornton from the Real Housewives of Potomac is coming. I thought if Shamir were leaving and Brittany was gone, I thought maybe they would sort of slide Mia in. I think Mia would fit in with them, but I wouldn't want Mia just coming on the show line. She would fit in with them, but I would want her to have something going on. No offense, but I really think that Cynthia Bailey should not be coming back. I think that her time on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, if she made some appearances, then that would be great. But I really feel like Cynthia should not be coming back as a friend of the Housewives this particular season. I think they could have added someone else. They could have added Sheree. They could have even added Marlo, someone that would really give us something. Marlo was a great friend of the Housewives for years. Most people fell out with Marlo when I'm sorry, it's thundering outside. We're having a storm outside. But anyway, Marlo was a great friend of the Housewives when she was there. Her position, I think people sort of fell out with her when she became a full-time housewife. But I think that she would be really good, again, in her Friends of role. I think it's, the Cynthia Bailey era, I think is over. And I think they need to give someone else a try. Like I said, Sheree or Marlo would probably fit in very well with these girls. But we will see, guys. Like I said, it's been a lot of content creators have been talking about it. I think we're all saying the same thing. I think we're all sharing the same sentiments. Ke-mora is needed. Unfortunately, she won't be there. So once again, we're going into this new season, which is season 17, not really knowing what to expect. We're hoping for the best, but at the same time, I think we're all getting to the point where we're just so disappointed with how they're doing things that we're not as excited as we once were about this particular franchise. When Salt Lake comes back on, everyone's going to be excited because they've had 2 great seasons back to back. Miami is back. Miami is giving us a lot of content, although that's not everyone's favorite franchise and the numbers aren't great. Miami gives a lot of personal story and it just works. So and I've heard that they've already been renewed for another season, although they're only like on episode maybe 7 of this particular season, but they've already been renewed again. I know that they're making some changes to New Jersey, and we have the Real Housewives of Rhode Island coming, so we're going to see how that goes. Orange County is back. Orange County is the OG franchise in the Real Housewives universe, and of course, they're holding their own. Beverly Hills will soon return. Potomac will soon return, and all of these franchises are going to come back. And it seems like although Atlanta is scheduled and set to come back, it seems like people have the least amount of excitement about Atlanta. And it's sad because Atlanta was the franchise of all franchises at one point. Beverly Hills at one point is now getting the numbers that the Real Housewives of Atlanta got 10 years ago. They're just now getting those numbers. And so it's sad to see the end of the Real Housewives of Atlanta era when they were impeccable. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that Ke-mora was treated unfairly or unjustly? Or do you feel like, you're glad to see Ke-mora go? Do you feel like Portia can really lead the girls? If not Portia, who can really take the reins and lead this franchise? What do you think about the 2 new girls, K. Michelle and Pinky Cole, coming in? What do you think about Cynthia staying? Do you think she should be there, rightfully so, or should they get another friend of the show? Let me know what you think, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I know that so many people or so many content creators have already commented on it, but I just wanted to give my opinion on what I thought was happening and how I feel about the franchise going forward. So leave me a comment. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, guys. And like I said, if you want to drop down again and give your opinion, let me know what you think, and I will gladly reply to you. Have a wonderful day, and stay tuned. We'll see what happens next. Bye. Have a great day.